This video is designed to help us understand how as Year 12 accounting students we can record opening balances in the general ledger. What is an opening balance? An opening balance is the amount in the account at the beginning of the period. Usually that's going to be the first day of the month, but it depends on the length of our reporting periods. Typically, accounts will have the following balances. Assets are going to have a debit balance, liabilities will have a credit balance, and owner's equity will have a credit balance. This is because we're applying our accounting equation. It also looks really similar to where they sit in the balance sheet. So if we think about the balance sheet and the general ledger, we can actually think about this side being debit and this side being credit. Important to note that there are no revenues and no expenses. That is because we don't balance those accounts. We do something later. We're going to learn about that called closing. It's also important to note that some accounts can have both a debit and a credit balance depending on what happened in the last period. An example would be bank or GST. It depends on how much money is coming in and out of the business as to what happens to the balance. So what does an opening balance look like? Here we've got an example of a general ledger account for bank, and we can see that bank, in this case, has got a balance on the debit side. Remember, left being debit, right being credit. We can see that on the first day of the reporting period, so March, there was a balance of $12,500. So this balance here is not a cross-reference. This balance comes from the process of balancing accounts, which you're going to learn about in the next couple of exercises. So let's record some opening balances. You'll see here that I've got some opening balances for the 1st of February 2020. I've got a bank overdraft, a vehicle, capital, and a loan. So we can see that bank is typically an asset, but in this case, the bank is in overdraft. So that means that we've actually got below zero and we actually owe the bank a little bit of money. So because of that, this account is actually going to be in credit. So remember, debit and credit. I'm going to record at the first day of the reporting period. I'm going to write the word balance, and then I write my amount. Second transaction is for a vehicle. A vehicle is an asset, and we know that an asset would typically have a debit balance, so that'll be on the left. Same thing, Feb 1, balance, $36,500. Capital. Capital will typically have a credit balance. Remember this idea here from our balance sheet. So Feb 1, balance, $26,000. And lastly, a loan. A loan, if we look up in our top part, has a credit balance, Feb 1, balance, $12,250. So there we have some examples of how you can record opening balances. Now it's your turn to try and apply this in an exercise of your choice.